What are the biggest questions we have to face?
Well, as we have been discussing during this panel, there are quite many big questions. But one that for me is still important, it's how indeed sustainable development gets reflected into national and local policies, and so that people at the center of development can indeed choose the sustainable path they want to follow. And that brings back to the issue of participation and of governance, that at the end of the day I think it was very much part of our panel.
I think that in the context of Africa and the perspectives, they start with development first, and how you make development more sustainable. There is not only environmental issues that is pressing, that is important, is as well social aspect, it's economic aspect, and all those different things need to be brought together. And it's a bit depressing that we are not addressing some of the fundamentals, that is the production and consumption pattern, because the problem we are facing is related to those fundamental issues.
But you talked about the social dimension as very explosive, and you started actually in Mali in 1991.
But this is what's happening in most of the African country, and then the recent event in Tunisia, in Egypt, in Libya is some of these those big problem, because it came from the youth, the young population who has been educated, who has no employment, and this seems to me one of the fundamental and critical problem, along with the environmental aspect. We have to tackle those two different issues. Unfortunately, we have a mechanism to discuss environmental issues such as the climate. We do not have any mechanism to discuss the social issues, which is as much important as environmental issues in the context of Africa.
And clearly, this is also a show of this, the fact that it's not an agenda that it's inclusive, and that's why I think people react also in the sense that say, look, we have a voice, we have needs, we have dreams, we want to be listened. And as Youba said, I think the biggest challenge we have is how can we address at the same level of depth issues that are related to social, cultural, economical development, as well as our responsibility as people of this planet to guarantee that we don't destroy even further.
Do you believe in the concept of green economy and green growth?
It could be interesting concept, but what have to bring in the African perspective? Because in the African perspective, we have to deal with short-term issues while we are dealing with long-term perspective at the same time. We have to deal with the local aspect while at the same time we have to invest in the global context. And how we bring those two different aspects is a big question mark.
I think that in order for this concept to be seen as one of the many possible ways for sustainable development, I think the concept cannot be narrowed just in the relationship between economy and the environment. It has to include also participation, inclusiveness, equity, in order to become indeed a possible path for sustainable
And you said that
development.
science has changed, and you need to see that change in the political field.
Clearly, because what we have seen during the UNESCO Science Report is that science is becoming much more global, and it's very rare to have a program, a research program that is only national or even one institution. You see a multitude of institutions, of countries, of different people contributing multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary approaches into science. If we could see the same kind of collaboration, solidarity, and complementarity in the political discussions, I think many of these very large questions and difficult challenges could be addressed in a better way.
Is that what young people are asking for?
But this is exactly, they are part of the process because of the internet system. Anything which happened in Sweden, in Bamako, in Ouagadougou, in a remote area of Mali, if you have connected to internet, you can have access to the same information. You can interact with high-level scientific community any place in the world.